Hello there. I'm gonna put my thing on quiet. Hi everyone. Sarah here of the Sisters Enchanted, where it's our mission to make magic mainstream. And I am here for our final day of our 21-day tarot takeover class. Let's see if I got anybody else on Zoom over here. I do. Hi Alicia on Zoom. Who else is here? It's not showing me who's here. It's being a little strange this morning. So remember, if you're on Facebook or on Zoom, you can ask me questions anytime and I will answer them for you along the way. Hi, Christina. Nice to see you this morning. So we have reached almost the end of our 21-day tarot takeover here in our group. We really did take over the group with tarot over the past 3 weeks. It's just super awesome. And I've loved seeing everybody's experiences. Yes, Christina saw my post in another group. We had 6 inches of water in our basement last night. 6 whole inches. There's still a lot of water down there. It's not pumping out very quickly and it's still raining. It's no good. No bueno. All right. So today is Q&A day. I did put up a thread last night for questions, but nobody put any questions on there. So I am going to answer some sort of commonly asked questions, things people ask me about. We're going to talk about using tarot in conjunction with oracle cards today and just go over what are the next 3 homework assignments for practice. So last night, later in the day, early evening or late evening, I put up the homework thread, the day 18 homework thread, which suggested that you post a picture of a card pull, but then let other people interpret it or go back and find somebody else's photo and interpret their photos. In doing so, practice reading the cards in a little different way and kind of push yourself out of your comfort zone to explore cards for another person. So definitely give it a shot. It's a cool exercise and will help you try something new and maybe hopefully expand. One of the homework assignments over the next few days will be to read for somebody here in the group just in a thread, really easy. Like it can be 1 card, 3 cards. So we'll get excited for that. So if anybody has any questions about anything we've talked about so far, whether it's confidence, the major or minor arcana, tapping into your intuition, journaling, anything at all, let me know and I will answer it for you. Otherwise, I'm going to start by talking about tarot cards and oracle cards. So this is a question that's come up a few times where people have asked if they could use oracle cards for the exercises in this class, and kind of what's the difference. And I did talk about it on the first lesson, but we'll talk about it a little differently here right now. So throughout the 21 days, we still have a few days left here, some people have asked if they could use oracle cards for the exercises, and you certainly can. The only difference is, like I talked about on the first day, is that there's not a linear progression in oracle cards. There's not always a story. Sometimes there is a story. Some people design card decks specifically so that they tell a story, but that's not always the case. I have an example here. This is it's called the Connect. It's by the woman who makes the Lumina Tarot in her hue. It's Connected and Free, the Alchemist's Oracle. And this one doesn't tell a story. It's just cards. Some of them have the chakras, and some are just different. Like this one says elixir, all different sorts of things. So something like this would not follow a story, right? I see Rebel's question. Can you revisit how the energies combine with major and minor? Yes, we'll talk about that too. So you can do most of the exercises using your oracle cards, and you can get to know them kind of similar as you would your tarot cards. The thing about oracle cards, there's so many different cool decks that it can be, I don't want to say more important, but it's a whole other ball game getting to know an oracle card deck, like really getting to know the meat of that deck, because it's going to have the cards are going to be different across every deck you pick up. The meanings are going to be different. And so it's kind of like learning a new language every time you pick up a brand new oracle deck, where tarot, you can sort of, overlap your information, what you already know. So some things you can do with an oracle deck are certainly reference the guidebook, because you want to know what the author was intending, what the story is behind the cards. But you could also look at it and just look at your own interpretation. So in this card, You know, what does it, the word is high flying. What does it mean here? You know, the colors that are in this butterfly, the flowers kind of coming down at it. You know, for me, these lines here kind of like make me think of movement. So you can look at oracle cards similar as you would tarot cards and just see what the images speak to you and say. So you can also combine your oracle cards with your tarot cards. There's not really like a huge skill behind this. It can be helpful to make sure you're using two decks that do work well together. For example, I'm trying to think if I have any here that definitely would not work well within arm's reach. But if you have one that's like really dark and gray, and then you have something that's like really light and airy, that might not always work well together, like a really light and airy tarot deck with like a really shadowy oracle deck. I mean, that could actually play with like light and shadow and things, but I think you get the point. Like sometimes the energies might not mesh well. So you can just figure that out as you go, but you can definitely pull even just one tarot card and one oracle card and read those messages together. They can complement each other. So you can definitely use your cards in conjunction with one another. Did I say that correctly? You know what I mean. So you don't have to separate them or anything like that. That was a question that a lot of people asked as we went along. All right, so Rebel's question, can I revisit how the energies combined with major and minor pulls? Okay, so one of the exercises, and I don't know if my cards are still, nope, I did shuffle them. Okay, one of the exercises was to choose a major arcana card and then couple it up with a minor arcana card. And in doing so, see how the energy of that major arcana card shifts. So let's see here if I can find a good example that will be very clear for you. Really quickly, probably not. All right, so we have the death card here. Let's go with the death card. And then I'll pick some minor arcana cards to look at too, some different ones, and we'll look at how it changes. So the major arcana, if you go back to that video, you know that the major arcana represents kind of more long-standing things, sort of the overarching life stuff that you might have to work through. Whereas the minor arcana is kind of the things that are happening along the way. It's more, I don't want to say necessarily day to day because it can be more life stuff, but it's a little bit more in the moment, where major arcana is bigger themes. So for example, if we have the death card, and with the death card, if we were to couple that with a wands card, for example, we have the two of wands here. So death usually means putting an end to one thing so that the birth of something else can happen, something new can come, right? We end one period, new period begins, get rid of one person to make room for another person, things like that, or a habit. So if we're looking at it combined with the two of wands, we're seeing that, you know, the two of wands is this card about a new journey ahead. He's holding the world in his hands, and he has kind of choices to make to where he's going, and the world is his oyster here. So with this card, with the death card, we kind of see like quick decisions maybe. The wands are quick, they're fire. We might see some passion in here. We're feeling passionate about this change. It's going to be a quick change. We're going to move forward rapidly. Whereas when we combine the death card with the 5 of cups here, this is a sad card. It's an emotional card. And maybe this change is harder for us. This makes this change. Whereas with this death combined with the 2 of wands, that might be like an exciting sort of death. Like, I am pumped for this big change. This is the best unexpected thing that's ever happened to me. Where with this one, it might be really hard. You're taking that, it's more difficult for you. You're really lamenting that loss. So I think you can see how it's sort of the energies might change, which is a cool way to learn the major arcana when you combine it with different minor arcana cards and see that the death card it's not always doom and gloom and must put an end. Like, combined with the 2 of wands, that's an exciting death. That's like, oh my goodness. So my work building was condemned and I don't have a job, but that left me so much time to pursue what makes me happy, you know? So when we combine our minor arcana with the major arcana, the energies of that major arcana can shift. All right, let's see here. What other questions? I see some more. I gotta scroll back up here. It's moving down as questions are getting asked. Susie says, my mind draws a blank sometimes with my cards. I'm new to it. Could it be not a good match? Or maybe I'll be drawn to one out of the three. No, it doesn't mean that you're not a good match at all. I would definitely, I don't know, Susie, if you've been following along with the exercises really closely, but the activities from the first like 7 days are specifically meant to help you think about the cards creatively. So I would revisit those and just keep practicing. It takes time for some people because we have to learn to kind of accept the first thought that comes to mind, which we've spent our whole lives pretty much being taught not to do. We're taught to be rational and logical, think things through, not accept our first feeling or gut feeling. And that's really what tarot and being intuitive and listening to your intuition is all about, is that first thing you think, just spinning it out, which is really, really hard to do for us. It's incredibly hard. So I would not say, I don't think some people like certain decks better than others, or different oracle cards more than tarot or something. But I would say that I don't know that anybody that's a completely like totally bad fit for tarot. I think it's just an exercise in getting comfortable with it. Amy wants to know if the cards can make you cranky. I don't think the cards can make you cranky. I am a person, though, that believes that. So items can definitely hold energies, which is actually, those of you that are in our Enchanted Journey class, we are going to talk about that a little bit in November with my friend Julie. So get excited for that. But anyway, I digress. So items definitely hold energy. For you, that's a whole thing where you can pick up an item and read the life of that item, read the energy of that item. And spaces, everything holds energy and has a life of its own. So tarot cards can definitely hold energy. I wouldn't say that you can feel cranky using them. And if that's the case, then I would maybe work on cleansing the cards and kind of cleansing your connection to them. I wouldn't say, I guess it's for me, I always feel like we experience emotion, right? We're not that emotion. So if you're experiencing that cranky feeling using them, kind of see where that's coming from. If you feel like it's the card deck itself, then perhaps put it away until maybe it's a better time or it speaks to you again, that specific deck. Maybe cleanse the cards, maybe air them out a little bit. You can use smoke or crystals or sunshine or the full moon or sound, sing and dance while holding them. That might sound really silly, but think about how excited you are when you're singing and dancing and like rocking out, having a kitchen dance party. Your cards are going to feel the same way. So just like let them out and dance around. That's something you can do. But you remember you're experiencing that emotion. So you are in control of shifting that for sure. Let's see here. Scroll back down. Danielle's still struggling with the court cards. So Danielle, I think that a lot of people struggle with the court cards forever and ever and ever. I think that the easiest way is really reading them as energies and then going from there. So reading the energy and then using your intuition, or if you're reading for another person, conversing with them to try and weed out if that energy is a situation, is representative of a situation, of a person, things like that. And it's totally okay to converse with people if you're reading for them and say, well, I'm getting the energy of this is like a wild and reckless sort of energy, kind of like a Knight of Wands. It's a little bit, someone needs to give that boy a curfew and follow through. And you can explain that and say, but I'm not necessarily feeling like it's a person or a situation. Let's pull another card and see if we can get some guidance. But I would go back to, I think the video on the major and minor arcana is when we talked about the energies. So I would go back to that. So Chantel's saying, are court cards always representing a person? No, they can be a situation, energies. Sometimes too, a court card can just add to another card. For example, I've got all these different decks here. So the Page of Swords, right? The Page of Swords. So the page represents the child in the situation. So it's early stages. Swords can be kind of your internal thoughts, all these things that it's our, the things that we're thinking that might be holding us back or something. So there's a lot to be learned here, right? This is a new card. Maybe your thoughts on a matter are not, you don't have a lot of wisdom in that area. And as a result, you might be holding yourself back, or possibly you're thinking about it in a childish way. And so you can take this card and you can maybe see combined with the Two of Wands here. I might think to myself, if I was reading this for myself or another person, this energy, that kind of childish sort of thought energy, maybe now is the time to step back and think about this more clearly, or consult like a mentor, get some guidance, because you might not be thinking very clearly about this. Whereas the King of Swords, that's clarity and thought. He has progressed through the ranks. He's the head of that court, and he knows what he's thinking. He's in control of his thoughts. And so the King of Swords combined with the Two of Wands, I'd be like, you've thought this through. You have the wisdom. You know what you're doing. Take the step forward. The Page of Swords, though, we might want to consult a mentor, think about that a little bit. So I think that reading kind of the energies can be helpful there. Let's see here. Chantel says the core cards always seem to be so similar. Like all the pages seem the same across the suits. What's a good way to differentiate between them? Oh yeah, so Chantel, go back. I don't know. I think it was a major or minor arcana video. So the cups are water, the swords are air, the pentacles are earth, and the wands are fire. And then the pages also represent earth, the knights represent fire, the queens represent water, and the kings represent air. So when you have those associations together, you can look at the elements, how they're paired up. So for example, the Knight of Wands, that's fire and fire. That's really quick moving action. And with all of that quickness, we're not always thinking straight, versus like the Queen of Pentacles. So that's water and earth. So that's a really sort of grounded water, right? That's a grounded emotional thing. Whereas the Knight of Water, that's fire and water. That might be more a less grounded sort of emotion. That's like that, like lust and like, oh, I would do anything for this person, even though I barely know them. That's that kind of emotion. So when you line up those energies, that can be helpful. They do look similar, especially just in your traditional Rider-Waite deck, but knowing those energies can be helpful. Amy cleanses her cards with a bell daily. Yeah, sound is a really great way to cleanse. Hey, Emma. Yeah, so I hope that helps. So if you like, you can make a little chart even, and I think that I screenshotted it somewhere, but making a chart about those energies around the court cards can be so super helpful. And then as you get to know them, you know, you'll memorize it and know what represents what, and you can kind of apply that to the other cards. And that can even be a kind of a spin on the exercise where you take a major arcana and add a minor arcana to it and see how that shifts the major arcana, taking a court card and then pairing it up with different minor arcana cards to see how that reading would shift for you, and look at that court card as if it is the you know, just the energy applying to the minor arcana card, and see how that goes for you. So Kimberly would I leave a piece of selenite on my cards. Yeah, and I know that my sister Anna, she's really big on this. She has a whole tarot like altar. My sister's house is like a witch kingdom. You walk in and there's literally just spaces of stuff, of plants and crystals and cards, and like you walk in and it's kind of like walking into what you would see in a movie for like a tarot card reader's salon, except it's her house. Anyway, she always has different crystals on different card decks. So if she's working with a card deck, and for her, it's feeling like a, you know, like a sort of loving deck, a loving energy vibe, she'll pair it up with a crystal and put them on. So she looks at the energy of her deck and pairs them up with crystals, and then they each own their own little crystal. Yeah, she's like super cool. So Vicky says Queen of Pentacles is my stalker card for a few weeks now. Queen of Pentacles is a very nurturing card, kind of like grandmotherly. Chantel keeps hers in a pouch with a bundle of white sage. Yeah, another great idea. So yeah, those are, if you guys have any more questions, definitely ask me. Now's the time to ask, and I will answer them for you. And I'm going to talk about right now, while I see if there's any other questions, the homework email that went out today. So the homework for today, and I will post it when I'm done, is to practice. So here you're going to practice, and it's kind of similar to what we've done in the past, but a little different, pulling like 3 to 5 cards and writing about them as a sentence. So one thing that I find people really struggle with is making a reading cohesive. So I've seen a lot of people where they pull cards and they just read that. So they'll tell you like, oh, this is the 4 of Swords, and they'll tell you all about the 4 of Swords. Then they'll pull another card, and this is the 5 of Pentacles, and they'll tell you all about the 5 of Pentacles. And then they'll tell you all about the 3 of Pentacles, but they don't tie them together. So take 3 to 5 cards, I would say, probably not more for this, and try to write about them in one cohesive, clear sentence, not a super long one. Like you're writing the kind of the overview of the 3 cards together in one sentence. This is what's happening. Just walk through them left to right and write a sentence, and give it a shot and post it in the homework thread. And that's another really great way to kind of drill down in your readings and make sure you're connecting that, because that is a big thing that I see from people not connecting the cards. So it's just like, oh, this means this, this means this, this means this. But it really is all one reading. It's not like a bunch of separate meanings, you know. So Amy was asking, I noticed that the full moon in reading tarot cards makes me moody. That's why my cards made me cranky. So this full moon too, I don't know if you track the lunar cycles, Amy. It's one of the things a lot of us here at the Sisters Enchanted do, is work with lunar cycles and tracking them. So if you don't track them, I would recommend tracking them and see if that's at every full moon or if it was just specifically this full moon. So this full moon was an Aries full moon. And the Aries full moon is, it's a lot of energy, that Aries piece. Aries can be a lot of energy. There is a lot of energy. It's a fire sign. So if it was just this full moon in particular, you know, that could be why. And then you could keep track over time, and you could actually see if every time the moon is in Aries in any sign, if you're really cranky under an Aries moon. So I actually feel my moon sign is Aquarius, which is not a fire sign, but my sun sign is Sagittarius, which is a fire sign. And anytime the moon is in a fire sign, I feel amazing. No matter what phase the moon's in, it could be a first quarter moon, a new moon, whatever. If it's in a fire sign, I'm just like, I feel good. I'm not overly, you know, I'm jazzed. I'm ready. Like, it doesn't matter if I got 2 hours of sleep or 10. I feel good. So I would track that and see if it's the specific sign or if it's always a full moon. If it's always a full moon, then maybe you just know then that that's not a great time for you to work with your cards. So that is, the full moon's also an in-between time. It's a liminal time. Whenever we're in that liminal space, that can be a little intense if you're not really used to kind of working through that. Liminal times, especially the full moon, is a kind of like other realm sort of time where we might experience the energy of like fairies or elementals coming through, which can be also intense especially if you're sensitive to that and don't really know it. So I would explore all of those different things and see like if it was this full moon, if it's all full moons, that sort of thing. So Missy was asking, am I going to do Enchanted Journey? So, Enchanted Journey, Missy, goes on perpetually. It never ends. We do new classes every month for Enchanted Journey. It just goes on and on and on. It's a song that doesn't end. That's what that's like. So Susie says, my feelings and intuition when I read most times do not match the book. Maybe that's why I don't feel connected. That's fine. Yeah, Susie, I don't know like if you followed along or whatever, but those first like 2 class videos I did are all about not using the guidebook. And as you progress with tarot card readings, you'll find that that's a thing. For me now, I know the meanings of the cards, obviously, but typically when I pull cards now, it's like my tool to connect me to my higher wisdom. And half of the time I deliver a reading, it has nothing to do with the cards that are in front of me. I try to like bring it back in and see where that connection is. But it's like I open up the floodgates to my intuition or my higher self or whatever message is coming through. But that's kind of the point. So that's a really cool thing, actually. Karen was overwhelmed and cranky and was in bed at 8:30, but is an Aries. See, you know, you got to track and see how they impact you. The moon's different for everybody. Yes, track it. Chantel's been having trouble reading the line strider cards intuitively. Not sure if it's the imagery or if I'm just not connecting with them. Yeah, you know, maybe explore some different images online and see if just go to Google Images and maybe Google like a whatever deck and just close your eyes and pick a card and let it pop up and see how that deck resonates, see if a different deck resonates with you better. I personally love the line strider. But yeah, so Rachel says this full moon has had me so drained too. It's been in bed by 8 for 3 days. Yeah, I mean, and track it, because you'll notice that sometimes I think we're really quick to say like, you know, just the full moon, but it can be really interesting to see how the different full moons impact you as well. So track it up, guys. All right, what's the next piece of our homework? So I talked to you about doing sentences. The next part is going to, so that's today's sentences. Tomorrow, I'm going to give you the chance to actually practice reading for people. So when you do this tomorrow, we're going to try to keep it right in the thread, one, so that we can see you're doing it and you can be entered to win. Some of the prizes will mail out probably by the end of next week. So we're going to do it right there. And two, there's so many people in the group. And I know a lot of people don't like private messages and friend requests. So we just want to keep it right there in the thread. But tomorrow, practice, give it a shot. Put in there that you're, you know, want a reading or you're willing to try. We'll put up a practice thread for you tomorrow with some more guidelines and everything, so that you, you know, aren't like totally unsure of what to do. And then the last day, which is going to be, today's Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, the last homework on Friday, is just to go back through everything so far and see what you've learned and what you still want to learn and what you might do to keep learning going forward. Hi, Jen. Jen was in our little Salem trip, and it was just, I think, Jen and Anna and I in the house, and Jen and I sat and chatted tarot for a little bit. It was pretty fun discussion. We were looking at reading cards intuitively. Missy says, is there a good beginner oracle deck, or would any deck be okay for a beginner? Any oracle deck is great for, I would say, is great for a beginner, because they're all different. They're all so different. That you're going to use the guidebook. If you, well, that's, I guess I don't want to say any. If you want one that has words on it, that can be helpful for a beginner. Some of them don't have words. I guess I'm eating my sentence right now. This is it's a little self-published deck. It's called the Oracle of Oddities. It's quite odd. It's all skulls and bones. So, you know, I'll show it to you though. But like, this card is Revelation. And this deck would, like, I guess, not be the best for somebody who didn't read intuitively and empathy. It's a cool Halloween-y sort of deck. The death card. Anyway, so I guess, yeah, just look and see that it's something you think you'd be able to read. But but really, any oracle deck, you're going to use the guidebook probably, or at least read it. So and Stephanie says, this time around I can finally intuitively read quickly 2 years later. Yeah, Stephanie's been doing tarot with us for a while. Sometimes some people just pick up the cards and it's like, there it is. And some people, it takes practice. Anna will share with you that she started reading cards a few years after I did. And for a while, she just so badly wanted to be able to do it that it was like totally blocking her from actually doing it. So once she finally just let loose, it was like it all just came out for her. So awesome, Terry, glad to hear that. Susie, will there be a spring gathering? We are actually working on 2 live things for next year. One in Salem, which will be announced soon, and then another one that I've been trying to work. I haven't really talked about it because I'm trying to get it so that it doesn't cost a small fortune to come, but it's in another place in the US, not in Salem. And it's at this cool reproduction castle that has all these like also like cabin buildings and things. I think we're going to be able to make it happen, which is why I'm kind of starting to talk about it, but we'll see. But if we do that one, we're going to have a spring gathering over Beltane. There's a state park right there also. And so we will The idea is we'll go out into nature. So Beltane, if you don't know, those of you who don't know, in the Northern Hemisphere is May 1st. And it is, it's a fire festival, fairy sort of time, a great time to go dance in a waterfall or dance around a fire. And that's kind of what we're hoping to do if we can make this thing, if we can swing this trip. But I'm still trying to figure out how we can make it happen. So hopefully I'll know about that soon. But the next Salem trip will be in September again next year. And I just have to decide the house location, but I'm going to do that like probably today. So we'll be good to go. Kimberly, what can one do to aid in retaining information? I have a hard time recalling. So what you can do is, I would say that you can write out the information. A lot of times you can do them sort of like flashcards. If you recall, like back when you were in school and you would do flashcards. And if you want to learn the actual like textbook meanings of the cards, what you can go through is go through the cards and see if you know the meaning, right? So, okay, if you look at the 10 of Swords and you don't know it, put that in one pile. If you look at the 2 of Wands and you're like, oh, I know this one, you say it, you put that in another pile. If you look at the 4 of Pentacles, you're like, oh, I kind of know that. I kind of think about that. Put that in the third pile. So you have one pile for cards you definitely know, one pile for cards you kind of know, you kind of have to think about, you're a little unsure, and one that you don't know at all. You totally blanked. And then you can, when you go back through to keep learning them, you know only to focus on the 2 piles that you kind of knew or you didn't know at all. And you can stop spending time really pushing through the ones you already know. That's a good memorization technique. And yes, Sarah, it'll be a limited number. I think this year for Salem, it's going to be less than last year because the house that we stayed in needed a ton of work and was slightly filthy, which was okay. And it was like really cool for a bunch of witches to go to because it was spooky and all these things. But I was talking with the property manager because they had somebody come in the last day that we were there doing a roof estimate, and we were like, oh, you're going to fix it up because we'll come back next year. And they are possibly fixing it to sell it. And I also brought up a variety of like just cleanliness things with the house, and the property manager was like, yeah, that just is what it is. You like it or you don't, pretty much. He was not like, oh, I'm so sorry. He like really didn't want to hear anything of it. So I was like, oh, I don't know. I don't really get good vibes about renting this place again. And so every other place around there houses fewer people. So yeah, there will be limited number. If you're like, oh, I really want to know, you can send me an email. And after I offer spots to the previous attendees, then I can open it up for other people. And I'm just trying to get the information about the other one that I want to do for Beltane also, so I can present both at the same time so you could choose. But we'll see if I can get that. I'm not sure I can make the other one happen. It would be so cool, I think, but I'm not sure if I could swing it. It's quite costly. And I'm like, how many people can I squeeze into a room to make it not as costly? The event planners are like, that's not really an appropriate question to ask. They're like, it's usually this many people. And I was like, but are you willing to let me put in more people? So anyway, all right. So any other tarot questions before I just go on my tangents that I go on and never come back from? I don't have it scheduled, but I'll do a wrap-up chat for us sometime over the weekend between Friday and Sunday, so we can go back over the homework too, and maybe we'll pick the winners then. Well, no, I want to give you guys time to finish up the homework. I hate when I put people on the spot for stuff like that, so give you guys some time, but we'll do a wrap-up chat. That's what I was like. Susie says air mattresses. That's what I was thinking. I was like, so I know it says 2 to a room, but what if I put 3 in a room? The lady was like not having my questions. She was like, no, it's 2 to a room. It's like, that doesn't seem right. Anyway, all right, cool. So do your homework, do your practice assignments. I can't wait to see them in the group. And also, yeah, and you guys have probably seen, but our tarot journey class, it starts on Monday. We're running it for 3 months through the end of the year. We're going to add some more workshops, and I'm going to let the students in that class vote on the workshops that we're going to do too. So I'll have ideas, and then I'm going to let you guys vote, people who are in the class, and I will run those ones for you. So if you want to sign up for that, make sure you do that. The link is in the comments above or in the description of the video. And there's some cool bonuses too. We have a really awesome sticker that it says Anna drew it, and it says, I think, magic making, card slinging, enchanted sister or something like that, but Anna drew the sticker. And also one of our fun tote bags, which I don't have handy to show you, but I'll mail those out. I'll get everyone's addresses after the class starts and we'll get them out. So if you want to join us in Tarot Journey, make sure that you do that. And yeah, all right, so I will see you guys over the weekend. We'll do another chat, and I can't wait to see your homework. MJ says, better to beg for forgiveness and ask for permission. Yes, I had an intern once, and I had this intern, and we were like doing something, and she was like, I don't think you're supposed to do that. I was like, better to ask for forgiveness than ask for permission. And she was like, I'm not so sure that you should be my mentor. That's not what she said, but that was definitely what the look on her face said. I was like, it's an amazing lesson for you to learn. Ask for forgiveness before you ask for permission. And Michelle says, awesome class, must. Thank you for saying that, Michelle. Yes, I personally think our tarot class it's definitely the most comprehensive class at the best value you will find in an in-person or an internet class. Like, I'm very confident in saying that. Very, very confident. And we're adding a quiz feature too to the classes. So at the end of it, you can do the quizzes, and we'll email you a certificate of completion for the class too. So Amy wants to know what you'll learn in the class. Like everything. So the class, it's we go back through like basics and things like that. But I'm just looking at the workshop list from last year. We have there's a lesson in there on reading for others, the tarot and the chakras, tarot and spirit guides, creating your own spreads and intuitive spread crafting, more on the court cards, tarot and shadow work, tarot and mediumship, tarot for planning, tarot and the moon and crystals. There's a whole lesson on elements and timing, astrology and numerology. Probably my favorite class is the storytelling class. Tarot and spell work, fairies and tarot. There's one on tarot and you, which talks about like your significator card and birth card. And there's also a Lenormand card reading class in there. And one of the workshops we're going to do is tarot and a full oracle card workshop in there also. And then I'm going to come up with a list of other ideas for the next 3 months and have you guys, the people who sign up, vote on which lessons we'll teach. We'll add more to it. Yep, these videos aren't going to go anywhere. They'll probably be the YouTube links will always work, even if they come out of here, I think, for now anyway. They're not going anywhere anytime soon. Let me tell you that. I don't want to promise, but they will be going nowhere anytime soon. So, and Stephanie says it's lovely and you have forever to refer to it. Yep, we don't take down all the stuff in the tarot journey. And Christina says it's the bomb. I happen to agree. So yeah. All right. So that's it. Check out Tarot Journey if you're interested in joining us. It starts on Monday. We'll do a live round and walk through it all for 3 months. And then you can do any of the other ones too. So, oh, Alicia was asking off topic, can I still see yesterday's full moon video? Oh, an Enchanted Journey. Yeah, I forgot to record it. So what I'm going to do right now when I hit end is do a quick live stream in Enchanted Journey about the full moon thing from yesterday and let you know what I did, how it worked, and all that good stuff. So yeah, it's possible. I'll see you in 2 seconds in Enchanted Journey if you're in that class. All right. Thank you guys for listening in today. Can't wait to see your homework. And I will pop on live. I'll try to give you a heads up sometime over the weekend, and I'll email out this replay soon for those of you that are on Zoom. All right, everybody, have a good day. Bye.